Alright, this is going to be my first attempt at a build video for Warframe. This is the first one that I've actually made that feels pretty reliable and unique, and it was doing just fine in the Netra cells. Haven't taken it into Steel Path yet because I haven't unlocked it. I still got to do the Zeraman, but it hasn't had any trouble in any other content so far. So I noticed Warframe kind of has the same issue as Destiny, where people only share builds if they're meta or top of the top, and I don't like that. I just make builds to have fun and still be decently effective, so I made this one, and I've really been liking Lavos. I put Sickening Pulse on him because I pretty much have like a pseudo damage over time build set up, thanks to Archon Vitality. If you don't have this, you may want to change up some things about how you infuse your elements, but it won't change too much. If you don't have this, I'd recommend just getting as much health as you can, because Lavos has such a ridiculous amount of armor. I think he has, 69.2 base damage resistance, nice. But I got Corrosive Projection on because, there may be better options. Maybe you're like Rejuvenation or Physique, but I like Corrosive Projection. It's just reliable. And I tried to get as much range as I could without eating into other stuff. The issue is I don't have many range increase mods other than Overextended, which I didn't want to eat into strength. And I was running higher duration, but then because it increases his status duration, but then I realized that the longer Sickening Pulse lasts, the longer you gotta wait for it to come to start its cooldown, and it doesn't seem like it lasting any longer actually does anything. It's just like it just sits there not cooling down, which is really annoying. So I decided to take off the duration increases and just keep it at 100. The status durations from his abilities still last a decent amount of time, especially since Sickening Pulse renews them, the timers. And I got both drifts. It's nice to have them. Like I said, as much range as I could get is just that. Swift Bite is Lavos' only augment, but it's highly recommended because of how fast his first ability cools down. And all you gotta do is hit 4 enemies with it, and you get a 5-second cooldown on all of your abilities, or cooldown reduction. And I get a bit of streamlined because efficiency increases how much cooldown reduction you get. Natural Talent is really nice with Lavos because Ophidian Bite is the main way you stay alive because of the built-in lifesteal, so you want to be able to cast it as fast as possible. Because I've noticed with Lavos, I pretty much never have shields. You could build him for shield gating, but that's obviously not really what he's meant to do because he has so much armor. You kind of just tank, and then when your health gets low, you bite like 3 enemies and get back to full health instantly. And of course, since he has so much armor, Adaptation is an obvious choice on him. And I don't have the best arcanes, but Augments is always nice, and then Arcane Rise was really the only other option I had. And I don't know too much about arcanes yet, so I couldn't even recommend anything. I tried Steadfast. It doesn't seem like it activates on him ever. Like, it never even starts up, so you don't get the free casts without cooldowns. Then my Miter, I'm just using it to delete nullifiers. It's just full multi-shot with neutralizing justice. I only ever use it, I pull it out to shoot a nullifier bubble and then put it away. It's the only thing I use it for. And then I was originally using my Tenet Cycron, but Epitaph has a base 50% status chance. I'm trying to roll this Riven to get more status chance so I can get up to 200%, but I just have as many different elements as I can put on this thing with multi-shot, So you can see it has impact, puncture, slash, heat, radiation, and viral. Thanks to the new mods are really nice from the new Deimos area, because they just add radiation to stuff. And that's simply for priming stuff. Oh, and then I have Redeemer Prime with a condition overload heavy attack setup, which also takes advantage of priming. I can't spawn the highest level stuff yet, but... Oh, and then I also use Nautilus just for grouping. But I'll show what I would do in normal situations is I would prime them with Epitaph and then do that, because Lavos' ability, its damage is doubled for every status effect on an enemy. I'll show if you weren't priming first, or you already like primed stuff. I would start by casting that with heat on it, thanks to Archon Vitality. And then I'd just keep alternating between Sickening Pulse and the Bite to keep reducing the cooldown of Sickening Pulse until I get my ult back. And then obviously you've been applying all these status effects constantly, you're going to nuke anything that's left. But another thing I like about Lavos is the fact that he's so versatile. Like, if you need to take aggro off of your team or a defense point, you can just infuse radiation and then use your ult, and every single enemy is irradiated and they'll start attacking themselves instead of your allies. Obviously I don't have access to viral because I infused Sickening Pulse, but his 4 does so much damage on its own when stuff is primed right that it doesn't really matter. I usually just either do pure heat, thanks because Archon Vitality is great, or radiation. I occasionally do gas, like for infested and such, but it's not really necessary. This time I'll group them up and just show how effective the dots can be. If I just cast Transmutation Probe, Sickening Pulse, you see how much damage everything took just from that. And that's what I like about it, is the fact that I can either shoot stuff and nuke them, or I can just apply some status effects to them and do that, and stuff that I'm not even looking at will start burning to death. Another nice thing about Sickening Pulse is it increases allies' status effect stacks as well. So if more people are applying status effects, you're just duplicating all of them. And I remember my team went up and fought the boss in the new assassination mission, and we applied like 10 different status effects to it, and I used my 4 on it, and it just instantly took half of its health away. Like, to the threshold. It's pretty dumb. I guess I'll also show like what the heat damage looks like just from Epitaph. It's not the best. Yeah. Not really worth focusing on. I guess you could say that's probably the best rotation. Sickening Pulse, wait for it to start cooling down, then use the Transmutation Probe, so that it gives you another Sickening Pulse cast, and then just use your Bite on groups of enemies until more abilities come off cooldown. I'll take some damage now just so you can see how stupidly effective Lavos' lifesteal is. See, as long as you're constantly casting it every time it's up, you pretty much can't die just because of how much lifesteal Ophidian Bite has. But I can't really think of anything else that's other than just if you go up against an X